Hey everyone, today's pick a card reading is in regards to what you are currently shedding. Now we are going to be diving into three aspects. The first aspect, what you are currently shedding. The next aspect is what you are stepping into. And the last aspect will be what can you do to help assist the process, or what energies, what can you incorporate into your life and your demeanor overall to help assist the process. So 3 piles to choose from today. And whenever you're ready, we'll jump right into these readings. What's up, group number 1? So, what is it that you are currently shedding? What are you stepping into? And what is going to help assist this process? Now, don't kill the messenger. This message is not negative by any means. I am sensing overall there is a little bit of pride in terms of what it is that you are currently shedding. So the way that this is going to apply to everyone in their incarnation is going to look and feel a lot different. However, I'm getting the sense that there is something in your life that continues to happen, or that you continue to receive, or you continue to get these reflections externally that you don't necessarily like, right? We have this man receives only what he gives here. And then I just thought it was interesting too that we have the Page of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles coming up, and it's like they're almost giving the same thing. So it appears like the form it's coming in is different. So your interactions might be with different people, or it's like the same energy. You're receiving the same energy or a similar reflection, but it seems like it's coming from different sources. Like this, and I feel like it's something that is maybe an energy that is something that you don't necessarily like, right? Something that just causes disturbances in your field, or it's a reflection that doesn't make you feel your best, right? It's a reflection that is meant to take your awareness outside of yourself. And we get these uncomfortable situations and these uncomfortable circumstances and these uncomfortable reflections and interactions from other people. Those will continue to happen until we kind of catch on to the point, right? Until we kind of catch on to what spirit is leading us towards. So, there's like this sense of pride that I'm getting in terms of you feeling like you can do something on your own, or that you have all the answers, or that like there's almost a pride in admitting that you don't actually know what's right for you, or that you don't actually know what's right about this situation, or what to do, or how to proceed moving forward. I mean, with this Hanged Man and the Take Time to Reflect card, this kind of reiterates a similar message in terms of what it is that you are currently stepping into. You're stepping into someone that doesn't just jump to conclusions, and someone that doesn't just like take the bait of what's happening on the level of surface, right? On the level of form, because there's something here that's happening that is, I feel like you don't realize is going to be a huge catalyst in a new direction for you, right? Because we do have this 8 of Cups here, and then we also have the unexpected happens. My seemingly impossible good now comes to pass. So this is one of those situations where, it can be tricky because we so badly want to make it about the world of form. And this doesn't mean that you completely give up your autonomy in terms of exploring this incarnational experience, right? Spirituality and being in tune with the realms of spirit and mysticism and the esoteric realms. It's not about shutting out the world, right? But you just start to see things with your spiritual eye, and you're able to put things in their proper context, so you're able to surf the motherfucking wave of life with as much joy and grace and ease as you can. So there's a level here, or there's something here where it seems like there's reflections that you're getting externally that you might be taking for face value, and you might be perpetuating this feedback loop because you're making it about the thing. And it's like there's the pridefulness that I'm feeling here, I feel like is getting in the way of you seeing what this is actually trying to catalyze you into. once you start to see this from a much more expanded lens of perception, things are going to move extremely quickly. But it's this, I didn't really understand what these cards meant at first. I was like, okay, what is the Page of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles? What does that have to do? And then we have the man receives only that which he gives. So it's kind of reiterating to me the fact of like, there's some confusion or there's some pride, or it's hard for maybe you to admit in some senses how you are actually aiding to circumstances not going the way that you want them to. And it's like different form, right? Different form, but like continuing to get the same type of thing, right? It's like they're giving the same pentacle or the same energy, right? But from different people. This could have to do with people, most certainly. Just your interactions with people and not knowing when to walk away, not knowing how to walk away, right? And you know what's going to assist you throughout this process. You might work with, you know, archangels, right? This is the Archangel Michael card. I'm not sure if you can see. This is the Archangel Michael card, which is known as the archangel that helps beings. Essentially, he comes to light workers, and he comes to those beings who are actively on their path, that are intentionally navigating their path and doing so with the intention of also helping uplift the rest of the planet along the way. And so he really does come into our lives, and in this sense, he is a symbol for, if you're not working with Archangel Michael, it's more of a symbol. Again, what's going to assist this process is you not making it about just you, right? This is encompassing the growth of everyone involved, and also reiterating the fact that, you know, when one door closes, I'm gonna say it, another door opens, and also there's a lot of growth that can happen from taking new journeys. I love how this Eight of Cups in this deck, because it has less to do about what this individual is walking away from, and it is really exemplifying the fact that he's crossing a bridge, right? He's going into new lands, and it's kind of symbolic for crossing over, or, you know, starting something new, starting a new chapter. So it's much less reiterating what we have to walk away from, and much more exemplifying what we are stepping into, the version of ourselves that we're stepping into, and therefore our external reality, right, has no choice but to reflect what it is that we are feeling internally, right? So this might be asking you, you know, because again, we're working with a general reading, so this is going to apply differently to everyone involved. But this, I feel like, is really asking those beings drawn to this pile that, you know, it's necessary to take a pause, right? I feel like pride tends to exacerbate when we don't really have a second to really stop and see something from all angles, right? To see things from new angles, because it's perpetuating that karma. We're just running off the fumes of karma at that point, right? And so what you are stepping into, you're stepping into someone that doesn't take things for face value, and you're extracting. You're much more likely to pause when things aren't going good, or things aren't going how you'd like in your relationships or in your work, you know, your interactions with people, your clients, whatever it is, making it a habit to pause and to stop and to contemplate. And it doesn't even have to be contemplating the situation, but it could just mean just like pausing and sitting with the energy, because that's when we get those flashes of insight. That's when we are much more likely to approach things from a much more balanced perspective. So yeah, I feel like ultimately this is just admitting when you are also influencing things that are not necessarily the most harmonious. And then also remembering too, you know, this Archangel Michael card too just reminds me that, you know, there's nothing that we can do that's wrong, and that this is part of the journey of growth, right? And Archangel Michael, with his sword of fire, just essentially cuts through the bullshit, right? He cuts through illusions with his sword. And so where do we normally, where is the place and the space that we can see things for what they are, and when we're encouraged to see things for what they actually are, right, is when we are meditating. The three gateways into absorption, so into transcendence, in other words, is meditation, contemplation, and concentration, right? So any of those, I feel like, modalities, and switch it up if you need to, but you'll receive a lot more clarity in terms of how to navigate these situations. And for some of you, it might even be of, You know, this Eight of Cups could actually quite symbolize like stepping away, stepping out of a dynamic, starting something new. And I feel like too, it could just be very symbolic of, you know, it's only going to take a little bit of shifting, right? The unexpected happens. My seemingly impossible good now comes to pass. So, you know, I feel like this is also saying you don't realize how by shifting this internally, this sense of pride, how that can affect your entire paradigm, right? Because pride is of the heart. And the heart is the bridge between our highest aspirations, right? It's the bridge between what our higher self has intended for this incarnation and then seeing it actually play out in the realms of this earthly form, right? So it's just important here to remember. I feel like it's just saying that once you relinquish that sense of like needing to be right and not wanting to look stupid, or, you know, maybe there is just truly an innocence here of like, you've had no choice. You've had no choice but to put up barriers around your heart and not to want to seem like you were vulnerable. And at some point that could have been a thing where physically feeling vulnerable was very scary to you, right? But, or even emotionally feeling vulnerable was very scary to you. So this is never like you're doing anything wrong, right? It's just giving you a reflection that will help you enjoy this life with a bit more ease and flow, etc. But essentially this is saying that, you know, one of the areas where you can really help fine tune this and is within these relationship reflections and in your interactions with other people. Just being in that space of like, I don't know, none of us really know anything, right? Some of us can feel like we really know and be very convicted based off of our soul's blueprint and what it is that we're here to explore, and just understanding too that our beliefs and our thoughts, like the thing, you know, higher self knew the things that we would be really invested in. A better way to say that is higher self just knew our probable timelines and our probable paradigms in order to facilitate a necessary experience to make this incarnation relevant for whatever lessons and explorations or teachings you had to give to other people, right? So on one level, it's like, yeah, you can understand that you don't know anything, right? And just be in that spaciousness, and also have a little bit of grace and understanding too that, you know, if you are investing in certain things and if you do have certain preferences, that trusting that that's part of your soul's blueprint. But you can do that in a way where you're not making other people wrong, right? Where you're not making yourself wrong, or, you know, no one is wrong within this situation, right? Yeah, because pride can definitely mean like a pridefulness in terms of just accepting your own brilliance, right? And accepting your own power, and accepting that, you know, at the end of the day, while some people, it might seem there's different levels that we're operating on, we're all equalized, right? It's all one. We're all cut from the same fabric, so to speak. So I'm going to leave this reading here for now. I hope this brought you some sort of peace, clarity, confirmation. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up. Please leave a comment if you notice any synchronicities, and I hope I see you soon. What's up, group number 2? Here is your reading for what it is that you are currently shedding. We're also addressing today what it is that you're stepping into, as well as what energies or what aspects can you adopt during this process to help assist it through. So my pile number 2, you guys are a group where there's a lot of symbology coming through, and then there's also a lot of like real tangible things happening for you guys on the earth plane. So as best as I can, I'm going to make this so it'll apply to everyone who is tuning into this divination session right now. So what it is that you guys are currently shedding, group number 2, is this idea that you are not special, or this idea that you somehow always end up pulling like the short end of the stick. And it seems like this is a group where things can be going really well for a short amount of time, or just for some amount of time, and then somehow it's like the rug is pulled out from underneath you, or like something happens where like it seems like maybe you self-sabotaged, or like other people became involved and other people didn't have your best intentions or something, right? Because what it is that you're currently shedding, you're currently shedding this idea that, you know, you need to run in a pack, right? Or that you need to have other people around you, right? And this is not to say go isolate yourself or anything, but this might be saying that the people around you are not necessarily the best company to be keeping for some of you. And if you guys are like pretty content with your social circle, this is essentially just saying that, you know, you are very unique. Because what I'm noticing here from what you're shedding and then what you're stepping into, like, notice how like plain this wolf looks, and then we have the fox here, and they almost look the same, right? Like one says wolf and one says fox, but it really looks like they're the same, right? Regardless of what's happening here. But this one is all, it like has little symbols here, and there's feathers coming out of his hair, and there's symbols here. And so I'm really seeing that it's this sense of you stepping out of this idea that you have very little to offer, or somehow because things have not gone right for you in the past, that essentially means something about you, that you were not worthy or that you were incapable, right? Because this fox card does say trust your talents in changing times. But overall, I'm really getting this as a trust your talents, right? Then we have this saying here that says, I live in the now. I am wide awake to the opportunities that are mine by divine right. So I feel like some things that are currently happening or that have happened in the past or what have you has really taken a hit out of just holistically you feeling like you are good enough. And for some of you guys, this has something to do with courts. This has something to do with family life. This has something to do with going through a divorce process or like infidelity or something. Like there is definitely a lot of heartache and sleepless nights happening, or just a lot of focus around, you know, something that's happening in your family that feels like you really want some sort of karmic justice for. This might just also be influencing just your current state overall, like something that's happening in the courts. It's like a battle of yourself, of not making it mean anything about you. When people do things to us, or when certain things happen externally, I know this is really unpopular in the law of attraction communities, but that doesn't mean that you are inherently doing something wrong, right? That's a very one-dimensional way of looking at something of, oh, if something I don't like is happening in my life, that must mean that I'm doing something wrong. That is so one-dimensional. That is so seeing things from the limited self, right? You know, when I see justice, I think of karma. And so we don't always understand what our role is in terms of other people's karma, or what other people's role is in terms of setting a foundation for us, right? And also the word karma is highly distorted over here in the West, because people think it's this sense of retribution of what goes around comes around, right? You fucked me over, so you're going to get fucked over, right? On a higher level, we do not always know what the soul contract is, right? There might be in some instances soul contracts for people to act a bit sideways towards us because it's going to catalyze us in a certain way, right? That's seeing the multidimensional nature of things, right? That's inclusive of this multiplicity that this quantum verse contains, right? So I feel like this is, there's like two solid messages coming through, and you're not basing your self-esteem and what you can do based off of what's happened in the past. And for some of you too, there's really tangible things happening on your earth plane in the realms of your home life, your family life, etc., that feels like you're wanting some justice around, or you're wanting to make sense of something, because it's really caused a lot of sleepless nights. And I feel like I'm just getting this sense of like wanting someone to get theirs, right? And then, you know, it's interesting with this 9 of Swords, we have too this saying that says, if you run away, your problems will run after you. Stand fearlessly and faithfully with the wind of the universe at your sails. So this is really saying, you know, if in the past it has been easy for you to be skittish or to kind of like blend in, or to not really stand up for yourself, or however this applies, this is really asking you to be fearless, right? To trust yourself and navigating your way into a place where you are content no matter what's happening, right? That's essentially what the spiritual journey is all about, is about this, you're living life from a sense of transcendence and a sense of peace that is untouched. It is untouchable, right? And as long as we're caught in this web of like, he did this to me and she did this to me and she said this, he said, she said, right? You're caught in that web, right? You're caught in that dance. You're caught in the wave, so to speak. And it's like, just as you're coming up to catch your breath, another wave is falling down on you, right? Just get a fucking boat, right? Just find yourself more in realms of removing yourself from it, removing your sense of identity from what's happening, what's occurring in your life. Not only are you going to see things with a bit more clarity, but you are also going to when you're seeing things with more clarity, you're much more likely to access more of your divine mind and your higher mind, right? But if we're constantly in this state of what he did to me, what she did to me, I'm heartbroken over it, we're not going to be able to receive anything that is going to actually profoundly and permanently shift our life into brighter paradigms. So I am hearing that there's something that's happening on this earth plane that you maybe want to run away from, or that you're not looking at for what it is. You're not really seeing it. And as long as there's anguish, as long as you feel fucked over, or as long as you feel like something's not going right, trust me, you're not seeing it clearly, right? When you start to feel contracted and when you start to feel angry or you start to feel bitter or hurt, you are buying into illusion. And it's not even necessarily important to see or to try to pinpoint or be able to pinpoint what it is that you're believing in, right? Because there can be an infinite number of thoughts attached to one sense of investing in illusion, right? Investing in something that is not born of the source, right? And when you are operating from realms of truth, and when you're seeing things through the eyes of truth, situations, people, circumstances, etc., and you're really seeing it from the eyes of God, or closer to the eyes of God, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel okay, even if there's some remnant purges happening within your system in terms of like just your very human karmic self purging. Like ultimately, you're going to feel a sense of like, okay, it doesn't really matter how this thing pans out. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter, because I know when I'm tapping into source, and when I'm seeing closer through the eyes of God, and when I'm residing within those paradigms, that I know it's going to bring to me even more abundance. It's going to bring to me even more prosperity, right? So there might be something going on in terms of like custody battles, or things going on with like estate settlements, or like divorces or something. For a few of you guys, it's like really clear that there's something going on in the courts that has to do with family and like probably money, or probably like a person, right? I mean, just being honest, mankind at this time, this day and age, right? So I feel like there might be a sense of you, like a huge shift happening, or you putting your sense of identity and your sense of being able to create prosperity for you, removing it from whatever's happening on this earth plane, right? I live in the now. I'm wide awake to the opportunities that are mine by divine right. Trust your talents, right? Trusting spirit. When you're investing in spirit, when you're investing in something much greater than yourself, you're not so prideful and arrogant that you think you know how things are supposed to unfold, right? Because, you know, a lot of beings that are drawn to my channel tend to be beings that are, you know, here to be more voice showers, right? And so sometimes it's like, and I know seems kind of shitty. It's not like we're here to be people's punching bags. However, it's like you can handle certain things happening, right? Because you absorb that negativity that people project at you, their volatility, their karmas, and you don't perpetuate it. It moves through your system, or the system of what way showers and light workers are here to do, right? It's like we absorb the volatility of the world, and then through our vessel, through our connection to source, we help transmute it. So the world is a little bit lighter. Your world is a little bit lighter. So there might be some fears here for some of you of like, how am I going to make it, right? Where am I going to get the money? What am I going to do, right? Your life is changing, and believe it or not, this world is changing. This is an incredibly brilliant and profound and sometimes scary time to be alive. But the way things are going to be working on the planet, and just like 10 years from now, is going to be vastly different than right now. So just trust that. You don't always know, but you've always been taken care of. You will always be taken care of. This is really asking you to put your treasures up where moth and rust do not corrupt, right? Which is putting your treasures and putting your faith into what was bestowed to you for this individuation, for this incarnation. What gifts do you have? What talents are natural to you? And taking the leap, and being courageous enough to understand that we don't always know how it's going to unfold, but that's part of the journey. That's part of the excitement. Is you can trust, we can have an immense amount of trust, right? An immense amount of trust in the path, and that it's going to be good, especially if we're tuning into our soul stream. As much as we can, it's only going to get better, right? But the fun in it is not knowing how it's going to unfold exactly, and the characters that are going to come in, the supporting actors, actresses, etc., right? And your biggest thing to help assist you embodying this paradigm and really owning your gifts, really owning what it is that you are here for, not being such a wallflower, right? Not feeling like you need to be a wallflower, not playing yourself small, right? There's a difference between I think sometimes we get humility confused in this day and age, because humility is not like playing yourself small and dumbing down what you were actually quite brilliant at. Humility is being like, I am here to be a service or a servant, right? I'm here to be a vessel for the highest. And so what comes through that is generally a lot of power. When you're really tapping into your soul stream, there's a lot of power that comes through that. That's true humility, right? But I feel like it's distorted for several reasons on this planet. But, you know, it's just that distorted third ray or yellow ray, solar plexus chakra, those types of purges that are currently happening on the planet. So, you know, you are special. Own yourself, own your gifts. Own the fact that you came here as a divine spark of God, and you came to embody certain things that nobody else can embody and create and produce quite like you, right? There's a specific niche that you're here to explore. And oftentimes this is how spirit works too. It's like, yeah, I'm wide awake to what's here. What is this catalyzing me into? So rather than seeing things as like, oh, fuck, this is happening, and, you know, like seeing these triggers and seeing these misfortunes, instead of seeing them like that, understanding that it's really all here to usher you in a certain direction. And you need those types of triggers a lot less when you get it, right? And when you just see everything as a permission slip and as a vehicle to come more into yourself, right? And to embody more of who it is that you came here to be, right? So these heartbreaks and these sleepless nights, while, you know, you're not going to get that time and that time back, right? There's a saying in the Bible, ye will be restored the years that the locusts have eaten, which means when you really do align, and this is how I interpret it, but when you really do align with your soul stream, it's like all of those insecurities, all of those doubts, they almost become like irrelevant. It's like sometimes I'm so shocked out of the immense amount of progress I've made within myself and how I feel about myself in a very short amount of time. And it's when I've taken my focus off of like what's happening to me, and I shift it to what is happening for me, right? Because that's the power of spirituality. That's the power of seeing through the eyes of God, is that there's a lot of horsepower. There's a lot of cleansing that comes with that. You are restored, right? Your DNA is quite literally on a cellular level, you are restored. And you have certain codes activated, more of those powerful codes become more activated. They're light codes. They become active. And the other codes, right, the distorted codes, they become dormant. Or another way of saying that is they get absorbed within that light, right? So utilizing whatever's happening, do not run away from it. It's going to continue to follow you, right? Understanding, looking at in its eyes, right? Looking at face to face, your situations, your circumstances, and what is this catalyzing me into? More independence, greater sovereignty within myself, understanding that I am untouchable, because every time you rise up from one of these situations, you come back 10 million times stronger, man. I swear. And then you start to have this air about you that nothing, like, bring it on. Nothing that comes my way can take me away from this sense of being so completely cradled and taken care of by the divine. And you just know, you just feel that you have the wind, quite literally. Is it this one? Yeah, the wind of the universe at your sails. You literally have the entire cosmos behind your back, right? I mean, and who can really fuck with that? I want to leave off with a note of, you know, anything that is born of illusion does not stand a chance in the light of truth. So just remember that when you're going to, I was literally just listening to a Joel Goldsmith excerpt audio, and he talked about that. He specifically mentioned something about court, and that when it is born of the source, nothing stands a chance. If you have something that's born of illusion and you have something that's born of source, right? So you're showing up and you're opening yourself and you are connecting, you're meditating, right? Whatever it is, right? That which is born of illusion cannot stand a chance. It will be dismissed. Like sometimes in the most strangest of ways, right? It will completely be dismissed. And that individual, that being that is really embodying, right, light and truth, like things really do work out in their favor more times than not, even against all odds, even against seemingly all odds, right? So putting your faith, putting your power in things that are not of this world, right? Do not get caught up. Do not get swept up by this world of illusion, right? It can be so much more enjoyable, man. And I feel like, yeah, I hope this brought you guys something. But yeah, you are special. You are here with on a certain mission. Do not let whatever's happening in your earthly form deter you from the mission and what you're here to serve, because I am hearing it's very powerful. So if this resonated today, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below any synchronicities, and I hope I see you guys soon. What's up, pile number 3? Here is your reading for what it is that you are currently shedding. We're also diving into what it is that you're stepping into, as well as what you can do to help assist this shedding process. So pile number 3, it's very clear that you guys are, I kept hearing the phrase growing into your wings, or utilizing your wings. You finally shed the cocoon for what it is that you are shedding, right? What it is that you are releasing. Now, the message is pretty straightforward. It's pretty clear. I feel like you guys might have been in the realms of studying something new, or studying, like going to school for something, or taking a workshop or a class, or enhancing your know-how in a foundation that was maybe already set in place. Because we have this medicine guardian for what you're stepping into. Be open to healing information. So this card really, just for me, is symbolic for alternative ways of healing that might not be widely accepted to what's normal. If you, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I tend to see symbology and really look into the symbology of things. But this tends to be around like hospitals, like this sign. You'll see this within like health clinics and stuff. So I feel like this really has to do with alternative ways that maybe modern medicine doesn't really see as being something that would actually create a change, or just alternative ways of healing, of like maybe you studied Ayurveda, or like maybe you're a chiropractor, or you're even into like energy healing, or you're into like herbology, just general, overall. But I am hearing that there is a little bit of like fear moving forward, or it's almost like a fear of being seen, right? A fear of being seen, and a fear of being wrong, and of, just a fear of what comes along with being recognized, or comes along with being seen as a teacher. Because whatever you're doing, I feel like you probably already sense that it's going to be very successful, right? Because we do have the moon coming through, and what's going to assist you? Acceptance, right? And the moon always, to me, represents like fears and illusions. And, it's not always bad, but I couldn't help but see that there were 2 full moons in terms of this, to me, this symbolizes the viewer, right? Birthing something. Right. And the reason I say that is because we have this message here that says, I ever hold the vision of my journey's end and demand the manifestation of that which I have already received. My perfect health, love, supply, self-expression, everything is taken care of perfectly in the divine mind, the superconscious, and must come through me, right? Coming through me and not to me. Right. So I feel like there's a lot of power that is coming through you that you might not be comfortable with, right? It's like the butterfly is this very beautiful, all-encompassing symbol for just like beauty. And for some people, it's a symbol for healing. For some people, it's a symbol of like, it's a recognition that their loved ones are still with them, right? It's like the butterfly has so many different types of symbols within this one tiny little creature. So it's like leaving the cocoon, leaving the warmness, and just like leaving this sense of being cradled and feeling like you're, going out into the big cold world, right? And maybe not recognizing or not seeing what it like, not being able to see how much it is that you actually have to offer, or that you actually do. You are quite masterful in this area. I feel like this is something that you're naturally very gifted at. So this acceptance of what's going to help you with this is acceptance that you are A, feeling these things, and B, that you are a master at this. I feel like this is not something that you have done just within this lifetime, right? It might have been studies, or it might not even have to do with just like the healing modalities, but in general, this could have to do with something that you are here bringing to the planet that feels not mainstream, or not widely accepted by the mainstream, but is very quickly gaining acceptance and gaining recognition, right? This could just be an acceptance of the fact that this feels like your path, right? And that you might feel like you're disappointing certain people along the way, or you're not measuring up to other people's expectations of who you're supposed to be, of who you came to be. But, you know, that's why you are also such a powerful teacher, is because you look to the one source, or you look to your higher self. You look to what brings you the most amount of joy, right? Those are our best teachers, are those beings that aren't just like talking about what they're going to do, what they want to do, and how different it looks or whatever, how brave they are, but they're just doing it, right? Endless good comes to me in endless ways. So I feel like there is overall just a fear of being like successful. Excuse me. I don't think this is necessarily like a fear of like failure so much as it is a fear of, you know, the success that's going to come through for you, right? Or just like, how am I going to handle it? Or that's a ton of responsibility, or maybe you're working directly with the lives of other people. You know, something in the beginning that did come through too, that I feel just, it feels necessary to talk about, is there might have something to do with someone losing a child. And if so, you know, my deepest condolences for that. And so I just I felt like I wanted to acknowledge that for whoever that applies to. And just knowing that their soul rests on. But what I thought was the most interesting here is that we have the Medicine Guardian, and then the first part of this card that was shown, or the first word, right? I read, I ever hold the vision of my journey's end and demand the manifestation of that which I have already received, my perfect health. So health was the first thing, right? So I feel like this has to do with health, or just like alternative healing modalities. This could also mean that if you guys are looking into alternative ways to heal something, to heal a physical ailment, you know, to be open to healing information is quite literally what my dude is saying right here. Like being open to other ways of healing whatever ailment you're currently going through, or, you know, this disease or this sickness, whatever, learning the different ways, you know, learning about mind. You know, this is a psychosomatic system. And so in modern medicine, there tends to be quite a weird separation between mind and body, as if they're like different things, that we're just like controlling our body or something, but not fully recognizing that it creates a feedback loop. And so what we take into our body, what we put into our body, is going to have an effect on our mind, and just, you know, whatever's going on with us internally or physically, or even just like hormonally. You know, there can be other ways that isn't going to help one thing on a level of surface, and then create like a fuck ton of other like terrible things that you have to take care of down the line, right? There's other ways that are much more in alignment and in balance with Earth and her rhythms, and that are holistically healing, so that aren't just going to help one area or just the specific area, but are going to uplift everything, right? That is going to holistically uplift your experience of yourself and your levels, your endocrine system, your nervous system, right? That's aiding holistically, and not just like turning off one system, or like trying to put a band-aid over one system and then like fucking up all these other systems along the way. And so we're left in worse health than we were before, right? So this might even be saying, if you've been looking into alternative ways of healing a child, this could have to do about like something, again, that whole notion of a child was really coming through strongly, of how do I heal my child? Being open to, oh man, I have so many stories already at the top of my head of people that felt like they were pushed up against the wall, and modern medicine couldn't help them, or they were just like, their intuition deeply told them to not buy into, you know, the modern medicine narrative. And this is not me in any way dogging modern medicine, but, you know, for whatever reason, feeling a strong no towards dealing with the modern technology and modern medicine and modern pharmaceuticals, etc. And then people getting having profound shifts in awareness of their entire paradigm and just the nature of reality itself, because they found a modality and they found a different way of healing. And that way of healing holistically uplifted the entire rest of their life and their perspective, right? I'm thinking of things just like what was his name? The Emoto experiment or whatever. Dr. Emoto, his studies on water and what happens when you're saying nice things to water. It literally shifts the molecule, the water, when you're looking at it under a telescope. it looks like these beautiful snowflakes that are all very symmetrical and just beautiful. And then the waters that they were speaking negative words into, like I hate you, you're ugly, etc., they were all broken and they were asymmetrical and they looked like dark and dirty. And so I feel like it's that type of thing. It's those things that maybe most people in modern world, just in the name of science, would write off as being, you know, stupid or a waste of time and a waste of money. But like, you're onto something, right? Spirit is really saying that you're onto something, right? And that your good is going to come through you, not to you, right? So this is really about trusting yourself and trusting your intuition, trusting where you're guided. Because one of, you know, this is messages come in a different way in all the piles, but one way that spirit works is we will often think that we are being guided to something because we're trying to fix one area of our lives, right? We're trying to make this one area better. We're trying to help heal our child. We are trying to help heal ourselves, something that's been long standing. And then because we are seeking in new directions or new avenues, we might come across materials and resources that profoundly shift not just that one aspect of our life that we're hoping to enhance and get better, but we shift our entire paradigm. Like, we bump up a few notches in terms of climbing the ladder of densities and really understanding what this quantum verse, what this, you know, what really is going on here, what really runs the show in terms of this physical reality, right? And so, yeah, I'm really getting the sense too of, like, you know, for me, for example, I was learning about Ayurveda and I thought it was just because I wanted to improve my health or something, right? And then the time it came was so timely, right? Because I started, personal note, I started losing a lot of hair after having COVID back in August. And so by the time that I kind of caught on to how much of I was shedding, I had already known how to make effective herbal formulas and knew where to look, knew how that interacted with my specific constitution in terms of being a very fiery, having a lot more fire element activated within my mind body constitution. And so I thought I was doing it just to expand, just, you know, I just wanted to get healthier and see what Ayurveda, right, and see what they practiced for over thousands of years successfully over in the East. But then, you know, not only that, but there's a philosophy behind Ayurveda that's completely in alignment with how I already saw the nature of reality, right? And it just confirmed that. It just confirmed this, and it added even more depth and even more, it expanded my ability to be a much more, I don't want to say convicted teacher, but I just felt like it really helped my teachings and my gifts and what I had to offer, learning about that, learning about the subconscious, learning about subtle energy too, and why yogis tend to look to Ayurveda, because, you know, yogis are all about moving that Kundalini energy up the spine, right? Moving it up to the spine, piercing the third eye, opening the crown, etc., right? And so it kind of, you know, in a really way that was extremely unexpected, just holistically shifted my paradigm to where I started engaging in breath work, took that more seriously. And I understood more the purpose of Kundalini and the relationship between, you know, insecurities and the relationship between trauma and the nervous system and how to heal that. I finally found an alternative way to heal that instead of just like taking a fucking Lexapro or something, which I never have, right? I'd rather have social anxiety my entire life than take pharmaceuticals, right? But again, there's no judgment. That's just my expression and what I'm here to explore this time around, right? There was a time too where I had seizures from the age of like 19 until 2 years ago, right? And they wanted to give me medication, even when I was pregnant, right? So this story might apply to some of you guys. Even when I was pregnant, they tried to get me on it. But I was like, no, I don't want that going to my baby. I don't want to have to rely on this one thing for my entire life. And I deeply knew it was something spiritual. And I deeply knew that there was a different way to do it, right? And yeah, my older brother still has them all the time. And I haven't had them one in over 2 years. And even up to that point, they were becoming fewer and far in between, right? So, you know, these are just kind of examples of how we can sometimes unexpectedly, you know, how spirit sometimes like holds these carrots, right? Dangles these carrots in front of a stick for us and is like, wants us to move in a certain way. And we think it's because of this one thing. And while yes, it is because of that thing, it's because of a lot more, right? And I hope that wasn't too cryptic for you guys to catch on to. And it's never like, it's done in a way that's like malicious or maleficent, right? It's really here to expand you in a certain way. If you're on this planet, if you're taking incarnation and birth on the planet at this time, then it's like, it's important to remember that you came here to learn things, right? Everything is your teacher. Everything is here to help you climb the ladder of transcendence, right? And so I feel like it's important that whatever you're going through, it's like you're not burying your head in the sand and pretending like it's not happening, right? Or that you know this new phase, this what you're stepping into, right? It might be because it stemmed from something that you were not accepting, or something that you wanted to fix, and to know that that's okay, right? And that it's all leading you here to something. It's all here to help you. It's all leading you more into more of yourself, right? And it must come through you. That conviction has to come through you, and those healing modalities have to come through you, quite literally, right? And figuratively speaking, it has to come through you. You have to be receptive to the newness, being open, right? Being open to new information, new healing information, helping your child, helping yourself, whatever it is to move forward and to heal, right? And in so doing, you help heal the rest of the planet, right? Because then other people, you become a walking testimony, right? You become a walking testimony of more harmonious ways to treat your body and to holistically find health, love, supply, and your perfect self-expression. So I hope this brought confirmation, clarity, peace to your heart today, my friends. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up and comment down below if any synchronicities came up for you guys. And I hope I see you soon.